Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios as the Tennessee Titans get ready to hit the practice field. It's a short week ahead of Sunday's AFC South matchup against the Houston Texans. Of course, the Titans will be wearing the Oilers throwbacks. Transactions today. Christian Fulton, the corner, and defensive lineman Kyle Petco placed on injured reserve that effectively ends their 2023 season. The Titans made 2 defensive line signings from practice squads to the 53-man roster. Quentin Bohanna from the Lions practice squad, as well as Keandre Coburn from the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Titans edge rusher Harold Landry named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week following his career-high 3-sack performance against the Miami Dolphins. And in NFL news, the NFL is coming to Brazil in 2024. Owners today approved a regular season game to happen in São Paulo next season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Our Brazil correspondent happens to be in the room, and the NFL's headed to Brazil. I feel like we need a report from our Luca.
Yeah. Lucas Panzica.
That's right.
Yeah. He would know Brazil better than anybody because he's been there actually more than my 3 times that I've been there.
You've been there 3 times?
Where'd you go?
This might be the biggest news of the day.
I didn't know that.
3
cities
visits to Brazil.
Rio. I've got pictures of myself with the big
with Christ the Redeemer.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, on the big hill up there, of course.
Or as that statue knows it, I have a picture with Blaine the Hitman.
I went there for a bachelor party.
Nice.
Oh,
Rio again.
Went there with the fam and then went there with guys.
I wish they were going to Rio.
Yeah,
I wish that's where the game was happening.
But, I don't feel like they love football there.
No.
Maybe basketball, but nah. And it was no inkling of football. Like, nobody knew, and I was with some prominent players at that time. Not myself, but them. And nobody knew who they were. And I think that's why we were there.
Yeah, football does not have a foothold in Brazil whatsoever. Basketball does. There's been Brazilian players to come through the league.
Yeah.
You can name Leandro Barbosa, Anderson Varejao. You can go down the list. Nene. Oh, my Apple Watch is trying to talk. But there's no football foothold in Brazil whatsoever. I'm obviously biased, so I'm happy this is happening. I think it'll be cool.
I just want to make sure we get to go this time. I don't know. We didn't get to go to.
Well, the Titans won't be going, so we'll.
Why won't they?
2024, right? Have teams done back-to-back years other than the Jags of having international games? Like, how common is that?
Oh, I didn't think about that. I just know I want to go to
You
Brazil.
just did the radio sin of asking a question you don't know the answer to.
Because this is happening next season. They're going to São Paulo next season.
Right, yeah. São Paulo, I've been there too. So I think the Titans will go at least in the next 3 years. For sure, when they get the new stadium. So, we'll be going. But they will be going.
I think you would have to go. You'd be the Brazil expert. You and Lucas.
I would tell all the guys where to go and not go.
There's a lot of places in São Paulo not to go. That's a big city, man. That's a top 5 biggest city on the planet. There's a lot of people in São Paulo. A lot of people in São Paulo.
I liked it. It's always nice scenery there.
Nice scenery, yes. That's a good way to put it.
At the beach.
Yeah.
Meat on a stick, too, right? Yeah. Don't people eat meat on a stick in Brazil?
A lot of different foods on the beach.
Yeah, meat on a stick.
But that's what I'm saying. I wish it was in Rio, because that's sort of the perfect cultural depiction of Brazil as a country, whereas São Paulo is a much more of a metropolis.
But that's why they're going to Sao Paulo, is because all the people they're going to where. Hey, man, where the most people? This is a top 5 city in the world. We're not going to Brazil then. We're going to Sao Paulo.
Yeah, I'm just excited for the coverage and sort of the exposure that that American football fans will get to the country, and then in turn, Brazilian people to American football. And I'm very intrigued at what that crowd will look like. Like, we're used to the London crowds by now, but I'm very interested in what that Brazilian crowd will look like.
The more popular sport is soccer there too?
It probably goes soccer, Formula One, basketball, and then volleyball. Yeah, volleyball's pretty big.
A lot of people on the beaches were playing volleyball all day long. I mean, it was like, as soon as the sun was up, as soon as the sun was going down, I mean, they were out there playing. Yeah, man. Women, guys, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said the scenery was nice.
Yeah.
Once again.
Touche.
Yeah, see, he was right. A lot of balls bouncing around. What? The volleyball.
Yeah. The meat on the stick.
Yeah,
It's all
the
part of it's all packaged deal.
You know, the meat on a stick, you go to all these, the quote-unquote, the Americanized version of the Brazilian steakhouse. They bring out the meat on a stick, and then they cut you some of it.
That's right. It's a lot cheaper down there, too, than it is here. You're not paying $100 a head or whatever it is.
Down there, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
I refer to those places as death by meat.
My mother is on a flight to Brazil right now, as we speak, to go see her family for Christmas.
I thought maybe she was advanced scouting for Goodell down there.
Maybe she is.
Panzica.
But it's one good thing. I don't know how long. I forget how long the flight was, but you could tell me all that. But the time is almost the same, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I can't remember.
It's 2-hour difference from where we are.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
it wasn't that bad.
For Eastern timers,
I think
it's
it took
1
me
hour
like
difference.
It took like 8 or 7 hours.
Yeah, it's about an 8-hour flight from like Atlanta to São Paulo, which is always the route that I'll take. So it's a long flight, but the time change, the jet lag, is not nearly as impactful. Like you guys went to Mexico City, and it wasn't so much about the time change as it was, I guess, the surface, right, that you guys were playing on. That was the biggest issue, from what you've told me.
Yeah, it was slippery slide, but it was also misting rain a little bit, but it wasn't good traction there. Yeah, we played the Cowboys there. Yeah, we had the.
How was that crowd?
Oh, it was packed. Oh no, it was rowdy. So it was loud. So yeah, I like going over there. All I remember, because it was a preseason game, I think. It's a preseason game. All I remember was just going down the elevator because we were in the same hotel as the Cowboys, and I'm in there with Jerry Jones. Him, Michael Irvin, and we're all just shooting crap. I was like, dang, man, this dude acts like he's real chill. Like, oh, this is fun.
Did he say, Blaine, we'd like to have you on our team someday?
No, he did not. He was like, oh, hey, what's going on, Blaine? I'm like, hey, man, what's up, Mike? I'm talking to Mike. Mike's looking at me like, hey, man, you better chill out on that hitting in that game. It's preseason, right?
He come here to get hit by you, man.
I go 1 mile per hour. That's fast.
How many quarters did you play in that game?
We played a lot because it was the Cowboys, and that is a big deal. Like, we would scrimmage them early in my career every preseason. There will be fights the entire time. The practice seemed like it would take 5 hours. I mean, after every play, somebody was battling. It was horrible because, they were the king of the hill, and we felt like we were better than them. And we beat them, but never when it counted, So I firmly believed my rookie year that we were going to play them in the Super Bowl. That's how much the players talked about it. It's going to be them in the NFC and us in the AFC because we felt like we were better than them. And they went on a run there for 3 in a row.
I just hope the people of Brazil get rewarded. Whatever the matchup is.
Oh, that it's not just some stinky.
I just hope they get rewarded. I hope it's not
in front of that
Panthers,
many people.
Cardinals.
In front of that many people, though, I wonder if they're like, hey, they don't know the difference. Let's just send any 2 teams over there. Or if it's like, let's reward them and send, the Cowboys to play the Eagles there. Something like, or whoever's good at that time because things turn over in the NFL now.
Yeah. Sam, I bet Miami would create a good turnout down there. A lot of Brazilian people identify with Miami just as a vibrant, a lot of Brazilians in Miami.
A lot of different cultures.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. You think a Super Bowl eventually be out of the country? Not necessarily Brazil, but that would be on the list, I'm sure. But do you think that could potentially happen? Let's just say 10, 20 years down the road. Once you say, because I believe there's going to be a conference out of the country, and I just believe, I don't know how it's going to be formulated. And then at one point, then it's going to lead to, we got to have a Super Bowl over there somewhere. So do you think it could possibly happen? Or is this just me just thinking down the road?
What would have to would an NFL
just not making $44 million like Roger Goodell? But he's already thinking about it.
Would a team have to be based overseas before that happens? You think? Would there have to be?
I think there's going to be a conference out of country.
Right. You think that would have to happen first
teams
before we start to play? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think for you to play a Super Bowl in a different country, that has to be a team's home stadium in my mind. So I figure we're a long way from that. Where I would be so against playing a Super Bowl in London just to play a Super Bowl
right now. But that's why I said 10 to 20. So imagine now you have a 4-team conference out of the country, and they play each other twice a year besides the other teams that's coming over there that's playing them. And then after that happens, so you got to have the foresight to look forward and say, then we have to have a Super Bowl over there because now they bought into the NFL brand. We see the attendance. We see all the things that's happening. They already are starting it. So now it's time for us to have a Super Bowl. And guess what? All of us over here, we're going to want to go because we want to say, oh, I've never been there. Most people. Or it'll be a fun trip. You turn it into a whole week event, and then it's even bigger than the actual Super Bowl. Maybe a 2-week event because the Super Bowl is actually a
Blaine,
week
if they
event.
weren't talking about this in New York now, somebody's going to send this tape up there, and they're 100%. 100%.
Throw it up on YouTube. Maybe they'll subscribe to 1045 The Zone
if Roger
TV.
Just,
Yes,
but
thank
the
you.
sheriff, my
Get
buddy,
that
just
mention out
gives
of the
me
way.
4 of his 44 million. I think it would be cool. They use all my ideas.
The Super Bowl has become so much a corporate event and not for the fans of the two teams who make it. You've told me, Blaine, you've been, and everybody I know who's been there like, oh, no, like I sit next to a bunch of people from Visa and some people from General Motors, and they, got tickets as part of a lottery. They didn't care who won or anything. And people in the F&M Bank are like, they better not send America's game to somewhere else.
Oh, absolutely, that's going to happen.
But they're going to put it in a
Just
stadium.
like it's going to be 20 games in a regular season. It's going to happen.
How big are the biggest soccer stadiums where the biggest teams play?
So I don't know. I can look up real quick
Internationally.
the capacity. Internationally, you think about in Spain. You're in the 90,000 neighborhood in Barcelona and Madrid. In Brazil,
90,000 people.
the most iconic stadium in Brazil is in Rio. It's the most historic stadium in Brazil, and right now that capacity is in the mid 80s. I want to say I can look up the capacity of Corinthians Arena, which is where they're going to play this game in 2024 in São Paulo. I'm not sure what
And the
that
next
is off
year,
the
maybe
top
the
of my
second
head.
Corinthians Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll text it to us when you drive.
Think about it.
home.
Think about the money, the international TV rights if they do that. Because it's already a corporate game. It's not for regular people to go. The tickets are too expensive. So they'd be like, okay. The people who could go to this could fly to Brazil. They could fly to Spain. They could fly to London and watch it in Wembley Stadium.
It's
Oh,
only
Blaine,
49,000. It's only a 49,000 person stadium.
Okay, then they ain't playing there.
Which-
They're going 80,
well,
90,
that's
100.
where they're playing the game next season, though, in
Yeah.
Brazil.
The regular season game.
Yes. Next year's regular season game in São Paulo is happening at Corinthians Arena, a capacity of 49,000. Low risk, I suppose, so you're not tasked with filling out an 85, 90,000 person stadium in a country where you're not totally sure how it'll be
Only
received.
proper, but then you get them 20 years from now to expand the stadium, bring more suites in. By the time you realize now that they bought in, and then boom, now you're seating 60, 70, and then boom, there you have it. It's over. And then the Americans will be pissed off and be like, no, I can't go. The normal fan. Be like, you can't have it. And you can't do it every year. But I mean, every 10 years you may have one over there.
The international net that they're casting is getting wider and wider,
it's
for
getting
sure.
bigger. What you got?
I feel like logistically, like a Mexico game or a Brazil game, like having a Super Bowl there would work out easier than a London game or a Germany game, just because like time difference.
So it wouldn't be at 7 in the
So
morning.
it would be you wouldn't have a Super Bowl at 8:00 in the morning here, and people would not get up for that. I wouldn't.
Oh, I would.
Yeah,
I'd stay up all night if I had to.
You're probably, absolutely, probably right. But guess what? People are watching. Football is going to be on Saturday this weekend. Yeah. Football's been on Friday.
Yeah.
Football's been on Thursday.
Yeah.
Football's on Monday. I mean, people love football. They're going to watch it. They're going to watch the biggest show on earth. They are. I'm right through it. Oh, man, 8:00, man. I don't want to be zooming in and focusing, watching a game. Oh, but I will be. I will be.
You're telling me the NFL is going to have better ratings than the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl between Cal and Texas Tech, two 6-6 football teams?
Yeah, probably watch some of that, too.
Man. Just make sure y'all got this recorded, put in the iGuys when I'm, no longer speaking on the radio. We may even have a team in Prague, and you never know, man.
Blaine's gonna start it. He's
No.
gonna go over there and start. The game.
GM
Yep.
of the Prague.
Oh, I may be the GM, and then my connections to the sheriff.
Beautiful place, Prague.
Wonder what you would nickname the Prague team. What would they be?
Prague Lions. I'm ready. So with that being said, thank you, our
Brazil
Rio
correspondent.
Brazil expert. in
If it's the
helping us
Titans
out.
going down there, I'm stowing away. I don't care what
Exactly, you got to imagine that.
You got to
I
go if
wanna
it's
go.
the Titans, 100%. Then Blade and me will stow away in your luggage.
Yes.
We'll take
Watch
bananas
this.
as
Before
well.
you go, though, help me with this computer stuff.
it takes. I got you. I got you. That's really why you kept me
Lucas will
around.
fix Blade's computer. Vols with
I'm
a
up for
victory
watching
last night over Georgia
Mike Jones.
Southern, over Cole Swindell's favorite team, Georgia Southern. And we'll discuss all that and some TP stuff as well with Ben Mckee of Go Vols 247 next.
Wow, it's 2019 to Auburn LSU on my screen.
Enjoy it. Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. Vols are having a good time against Georgia Southern, getting a win last night. Talk to our man in Knoxville about this. Ben Mckee joins us now. Ben, I know you got a little one. Is he excited about Christmas, that little rascal, or is he old enough yet to kind of understand what's going on?
He's not quite old enough to understand what's going on. So next Christmas, we should be rocking and rolling.
Boy, that is the good stuff, too. In parent world, just wait till that happens. Now, he'll drive you crazy about it, but it's going to be fantastic. I'll just go ahead and tell you. You got that to look forward to. Jonas Adu. It was
being creative.
Jonas Adu. It was Christmas for him last night. He's having a nice season so far.
He is. He's been phenomenal. He's been one of the best post players in college basketball, quite frankly.
Really?
And it kind of started there with that 3-game stretch when they went up against Kansas, Purdue, and then off to North Carolina as well. Jonas more than held his own on both ends of the floor, and not only did he hold his own, but he surpassed those expectations again on both ends of the floor, and it's just such a difficulty to deal with defensively because of his length. It's just a whole lot of limbs coming at you because he's so long, and then his athleticism allows him to cover so much ground and really protect the rim as well as anybody in college basketball. And he's always had that defensive ability, and now the offensive end has really caught up. He's always had a nice shooting touch, and he's shooting well this season, but he's been real assertive, aggressive on the offensive end, and he's really put it all together, and you're seeing that.
It's interesting, the collection of talent that Rick Barnes has assembled there with old guys and young guys and everybody in between. If everybody is playing to the level that they can play and doing the things that they do best, if they can never get that, like in March, if everybody's doing what they do best and playing to nearly at their highest level, it could be scary how far this team could go.
Oh, absolutely. That they can win the whole thing if that were to happen. What you just described, that is not a crazy thought to have or something crazy to say. This team, it has the pieces to win a national championship. The question is, will it? Or in Tennessee basketball terms, can it make it to the Final Four for the first time in program history? Obviously, Tennessee won't be content with just getting there, but there are a lot of programs that have made it to the Final Four that you would not think have made it to the Final Four over a Tennessee basketball program. And Tennessee basketball, not a blue blood like a Duke or North Carolina, but Tennessee basketball has a nice history, has a nice tradition. It has had quite a bit of success, but the one thing it hasn't been able to do is make that deep run in the postseason. So it's certainly capable of doing so this season. You hear opposing coach game in and game out just talk about how versatile this basketball team is and how it can win in multiple ways. And that's what makes this team so good, is that it can hang its hat on the defensive end to win a game. It can score points to win a game. It has experience. It can play through Jonas Adu in the post. It obviously is very guard heavy. It has a go-to scorer in Dalton Connect. I mean, it has a lot of different ways that it can win, and that's kind of what you need in March because you don't know what you're going to face game in and game out. You're faced with different matchups each game, and you have to have a versatile basketball team with experience to get the job done, and you need a little bit of luck as well, and we'll see if Tennessee can find that luck this time around, but they certainly have the pieces to make a deep run in March.
And Ben Mckee will be covering it when they do at Ben Mckee 14 on Twitter. Of course, Go Vols 247.
Yeah, definitely go make a run there in basketball. Just to see how far they can go. It'll be really exciting to watch. But man, I turned on the game and it was second half, and I'm just now watching, and I'm like, whoa, man, they seem like they're sleepwalking. But Georgia Southern, I don't know, they're not that good. So I could see how that happened, but I see where Mr. Barnes said he wasn't too happy with his leadership. A group there, seniors coming out there, or starters playing a little flat to the level of the actual team you're playing.
Yes, he was not happy at all. he kind of
I get it, because great
ranted.
teams even play well, even when you're playing, a team that you're supposed to dominate.
Absolutely, and they did dominate Georgia Southern there in that first half. But the second half, they were absolutely sleepwalking. And the opposing coach, Georgia Southern's coach, said post-game that he could tell that Tennessee took its foot off the gas. And part of that was trying to get some young guys in there, but you never want to hear an opposing coach say, yeah, they took their foot off the gas. That just is not something that I think as a competitor, whether you're a player or whether you're a coach, that's not a compliment. Even though you built a lead to take your foot off the gas, I think good teams, great teams, the difference between good and great is those great teams are exactly what you just said. They don't ever take their foot off the gas, and they're constantly pursuing perfection. And right now we know that this basketball team is good. They've done enough to show that, but they haven't quite done enough, even if they have the pieces that are pretty obvious that you can tell that they have the pieces to make a run. They still haven't quite played all that consistent basketball. There's been some halves of basketball here and there that just really make you scratch your head, like the first half at North Carolina, like the second half last night. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to read too much into last night. I mean, Georgia Southern is now 0-10, one of the worst teams Rick Barnes has faced at Tennessee. But I do think there's also, while it's nothing that really anybody should look into a ton, like it's also fair to somewhat raise an eyebrow, because you have all of these veterans, you have all of these players who have been to March and haven't quite been able to get over the hump. Yes, they made it to the Sweet 16, nothing to scoff at all, but they have higher aspirations than just the Sweet 16. And if you want to get past the Sweet 16 and make it to the program's second ever Elite Eight or first ever Final Four, then you can't afford to take your foot off the gas at any point during the regular season. And I think that's why Rick Barnes was so frustrated last night.
No doubt about it. And he called out players, to make sure of it, to put them in check. I call it the OG style of coaching with the, new generation, gen-type players. So that's always fascinating to me, that you're going to get hard coaching and criticism publicly from the coach.
Especially Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes is not going to hold back, and that has benefited a lot of players that have played for him. And there's also been players at Tennessee that have gone through a year of playing for Rick Barnes and said, "Nah, this isn't for me," and decided to go elsewhere. And Rick doesn't mistreat them or anything along those lines. Right. He is just constantly on them. Relentlessly on them in practice. If anybody's been privileged enough to watch a Tennessee basketball practice, you know that Rick Barnes does not take his foot off the gas ever in terms of making sure his guys are doing what they need to do, and that's just not for everybody, and especially in today's day and age of athletes, where you got the transfer portal and you got the NIL, and it's kind of easy to tuck tail and run, quite frankly. It's not for everybody when you can go make a little money elsewhere and not deal with Rick Barnes breathing down your neck. But it certainly does benefit players more often than not. We talk about Jonas Adu. I mean, I think Jonas is a perfect example of somebody that Rick has always been on constantly, because he saw this from Jonas before Jonas ever saw it in himself. And now that Jonas is finally playing with quite a bit of confidence, Rick has constantly praised Jonas these last couple of weeks, talking about how he is one of the best post players in the country and how offensively they need to play through him more. So there are two sides to that coin, and I think Rick does a good job for the most part of playing both sides. But he's certainly not afraid to hold back if veterans on the team, if they don't show up ready to play, he's not afraid to sit you on the bench and hopefully try and get a message across to you.
Yeah, I'm really hoping Barnes can get over Snide. And Tennessee, I don't think they've ever been to, in men's basketball, to a Final Four. So that'll be something really unique if that really happens. So especially with his past history at his other schools. So I'm hoping and praying that happens for them because they definitely have the talent. But on to the TP there, Big Ben. One question there. What's going on with the secondary, man? You know that's my expertise, man. Why all these guys in the portal? It's like 6 guys, man.
Blaine may have to play in this bowl game against
I
Iowa.
don't know, man. I got thin enough to play corner now. I don't know if I'm fast enough. But, I can at least line up in front of somebody. Play zone.
Well, according to my sources, Tennessee's reached out to you about playing in the secondary for the next season. I don't know.
He's got a year of eligibility left. He's got his COVID year, man.
Boy, they want somebody to fall apart real quick, boy. I am the guy for sure. But I'm sure every situation is different in its own little case study, I'm sure, right?
It is. It's not like if you're an opposing fan, you look at it and say, oh, Tennessee's got 6 defensive backs in the transfer portal, and there also might be another 1 or 2 on the way, and it's like, oh, everything must be falling apart over there on Rocky Top. Josh Heupel must not know what he's doing, or this and that, and that's not quite the case. I mean, you did have a guy in Tamarion McDonald.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Football player for you. Yeah, I think part of that is living in the NIL era, and also just in general, I think. There's been some questions about Willie Martinez, and his contract is the only one that expires after this current season. And there's been questions about whether he'll be retained or not. And I think the fact that Tennessee is allowing 6 defensive backs, and again, could be a couple more here in coming days. If you're allowing that many defensive backs to walk, then you probably think that it's a personnel issue rather than a coaching issue. And we'll see if that ends up being the case. We'll see if Willie Martinez does end up coming back. But again, I think with them allowing Danico Slaughter, a starting corner, to go into the portal, Tamarion McDonald starting in the star for you and has started at safety for you, allowing him to go into the portal, I think that's very telling. And also, those are really the only 2 of the 6, if we're being completely honest, that have really had any huge impact back there in the secondary. Those other guys were that for Tennessee to take the next step. Tennessee needed them to move on. To be quite frank, and Tennessee's secondary has not been great these last 3 years under Josh Heupel. It's been the position that has received the most criticism because it's probably played the poorest of any other position over these 3 years. And I just think it was time for maybe a fresh start. And that's why you're seeing so many guys in the portal. So Tamarion McDonald, that was one you kind of look at with a little bit of an raised eyebrow. But I don't think it's somebody that Tennessee just simply can't replace. I just think it was time for that room to turn over a new leaf, and I think that this is what happens when you do need to turn over a new leaf in today's day and age of college football.
No doubt about it, but give us your, I guess, percentage you think Willie Martinez will be back as the DB coach with UT.
Yeah, I would say it's greater than 50-50. I would, at this point, I would be kind of surprised if he did not return to Tennessee. We'll see if that ends up coming to fruition, but I think he's arguably Tennessee's best recruiter on staff, if not second best recruiter on staff. And I think in a day and age where recruiting is the heartbeat of your program, I don't know it would be wise to just simply let him walk unless you have a plan in place to replace him with somebody who can recruit better than him on the recruiting trail. Now, I do think it's fair to ask, should Willie Martinez be your best recruiter on staff or one of your second best recruiter on staff, however you want to word it? I think that is a really fair question and something that Josh Heupel probably needs to ask himself in the mirror. But I would, at this point, I would be surprised if he's not back. Just seeing the mass exodus in the room. Maybe it's nothing, but I see that as a sign where they think it's a personnel issue, not a coaching issue.
Ben Mckee covering the balls for 247.
Been some good news, I guess, as far as the TP goes, as far as old linemen not getting in it and leaving.
Yes, Tennessee's going to have both of its starting tackles back next season. John Campbell Jr. released an epic video on Twitter last week to claim that he's returning, and I thought John Campbell Jr., the Miami transfer, I thought he had a really good season this year, his first at Tennessee, and was really good up until he kind of got banged up towards the end of the year. But that is just huge. I think that's as big of an addition as Tennessee could have made out of the portal, or as important as anybody that they could have signed, with Nico Iamaleava taking over, and Nico being inexperienced and being a little wet behind the ears, even if he is super talented. Having a veteran who has played in the SEC, who has played well in the SEC, protecting his blind side, I thought that was very, very important for Tennessee. And then Gerald Mincey on the other side of the line at right tackle, he announced this week that he is going to return as well. And I don't have as much confidence in Gerald Mincey as I do John Campbell, and part of that is because he's been as inconsistent off the field as he has been on the field, but he's still somebody who has played several years in the SEC at this point, and there's no questioning the ability, the natural ability that Gerald Mincey has because of how athletic he is. And if it can finally click for him this offseason, then he's somebody that could absolutely play at the next level because of how athletic he is. So Tennessee having two veteran tackles back with a Nico Iamaleava, a young Nico Iamaleava taking over, I think is very, very important, and sets up to see what Cooper Mays and Javonte Spraggins officially decide to do this month, and whether they decide to return for another season at Tennessee. But it seems like that's more likely to happen than not. So looks like Tennessee is going to have several veteran offensive linemen returning, which is a great thing for a young quarterback.
Well, excluding Blaine transferring in from Ball State to play in the bowl game, how is the import side of the TP looking?
Import.
They are as aggressive as they can be at multiple positions. I do think that Josh Heupel and his staff have done a good job of building a foundation with the roster, especially as good of a foundation as they could have built given the mess that they took over from Jeremy Pruitt and the NCAA situation and everybody deciding to transfer when Jeremy Pruitt was fired. It was a mess, and I think they've rebuilt it just about as well as they could, although they're still trying to shore up some positions, like building depth along the offensive line, building depth along the defensive line. You can never have enough in the trenches, and we talked about the secondary and things like that. So I think they've built a nice foundation, and now they're using the transfer portal to fill in the pieces to where they can contend. I was going to say in the SEC East. I guess I can't say that anymore, but contend to try and make it to Atlanta year in and year out. And they're aggressive at the tight end position right now because Jacob Warren and McCollum Castles have moved on and run out of eligibility, and they really only have one tight end coming back in Ethan Davis, a redshirt freshman, and then they'll have another redshirt freshman in Emmanuel Okoye, but he's new to football and he's a ways away from actually getting on the field as he continues to develop. So they brought in several tight ends through the portal and are evaluating that situation. With the secondary, a mass exodus in that room, that they're offering a ton of secondary help, corner safeties, and just being real aggressive in terms of trying to find pieces that they can bring in, and not just bring in, but play right away as well. So they've been very aggressive, looking for a dynamic receiver. I think they want a taller receiver that they can play on the outside, 6'3", 6'4", that can go up and make plays on the football. That's something that they really missed this season with Cedric Tillman moving on to the NFL and Brew McCoy going down to an injury, is that they missed that perimeter receiver that could go up and make plays, especially with Ramel Keaton being inconsistent. So Tennessee is as aggressive as they can be at pretty much every position at quarterback, and the only reason they're not aggressive in terms of bringing in a backup quarterback for Nico is because I just, in today's day and age of college football, it's just hard to get a quarterback to come and play for you when you know that they're going to sit on the bench.
Our guy, Ben Mckee, our guest here, Go Vols 247.
Well, I was going to ask real quick. A lot of people on the chat here are talking about Corey Raymond. I know he was with LSU most of his career, but then he was at Florida. Is that somebody who would interest Tennessee and be a good fit? A coach at DBs?
Yeah, I mean, if Josh Heupel decides to move on from Willie Martinez, if Willie Martinez decides to move on from Tennessee, if he's not back next year, then I think that's somebody that should definitely be considered. That one, to me, and maybe you can speak about his ability as a coach. Maybe you have a prior relationship with him. But he throughout the industry, I believe he's well respected. And
for sure.
Thought of as one of the best DB coaches in the country. So my thought was, how did that not work out at Florida? I thought
that's weird.
Was really weird. And that Florida DB room has been weird over the last couple of years because they were turning out first round pick after first round pick after first round pick year in and year out. And the last couple of years that they've not been good in the secondary, quite frankly. So I don't know if he did not work at Florida because of Billy Napier and a new coaching staff, but he's had success elsewhere. And again, he seems to be well respected by the industry and viewed as one of the best secondary coaches in college football, and appears to be a great recruiter. So if Tennessee and Willie Martinez do split, I do think that just from the outside looking in, that should be somebody on the top of the list, because I think the one area that Tennessee's staff needs to continue to evolve and get better in is obviously developing players. That is a huge part of it. But they're recruiting at a good level. They need to, in order to win championships, find a way to recruit at a great level and get better as a recruiting staff. So I think that's absolutely somebody that Tennessee should consider if they do part ways with Willie Martinez.
Ben, fantastic stuff, man. Great coverage always from you and the Go Vols 247 crew at Ben Mckee 14, or, of course, GoVols247.com. Thank you, man.
Appreciate the good work.
Absolutely. And if I don't speak to you before Christmas, happy holidays.
Same to you.
Big Ben.
That's right. The one and only. Always great catching up with him, man. That dude loves talking hoops and loves talking all of it. Always fun catching up with him. When we come back, we're going to talk about a Titans player that, well, we may have seen the last of in a Titans uniform. We'll tell you who and what's going on next.
While you've been patiently preparing for cooler overnight temps, your home's heating system may need some prep of its own. That's where my friends at Cool Ray can come in. They're hard at work preparing thousands of Tennessee residents for the cool down with a $49 furnace tune-up. Think of your furnace tune-up like maintenance on your vehicle. We all know what can go wrong if you neglect that, right? And if this is the year you finally need to fully replace your home's heating or cooling system, Cool Ray is armed and ready with same-day or next-day installation available on brand-new Tim-Star home comfort systems. Plus, they boost the 10-year parts and labor warranty on the new unit. And with the holidays just around the corner, remember some important holiday tips from your friends at Cool Ray, like don't put a live or artificial tree near a heating vent to keep your family and your home safe for the holidays. So schedule your $49 tune-up or any other heating, including plumbing or electrical related, by visiting online at coolray.com. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's coolray.com.
Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. Christian Fulton today put on injured reserve along with Kyle Pecco for these Tennessee Titans. With only 4 games to go, it appears we have seen the last of this cornerback in a two-tone blue uniform.
Mr. Fulton. Dang. Well, that ended quick. Just like Coach Vrabel said. He's a repeat offender.
Boy.
I went back and had to see it on my TV in slow-mo. He was on the backside versus the Colts, running with somebody on the vertical, and he just pulled up halfway through on a sprint. And that's all you could see. So you knew it was muscle-related. And they didn't even throw to this guy. They threw a touchdown to Pierce on the other side. Yeah. So, yeah. But he seemed somewhat surprised, huh? Is that how you took it?
Do we have this audio, Bananas?
So I couldn't find. I have several clips of him talking about like the injury himself, but
okay.
none of them were of what he said.
Okay.
I can play what I have.
Well, it was about the IR. He said he was surprised.
Here's
he
a
was put
quote.
on IR.
Let's just do this. Quote from Terry McCormick. Christian Fulton said he did everything he could to stay healthy, but it just didn't work out. Said he just found out that he had been put on IR and he had been hoping to return. That's a tweet from Terry McCormick, longtime Titans reporter.
So I have the first part of that where he says it didn't work out, but
well, I think the second part is that
Well, when he says it's not working out, he's talking about the hamstring that he didn't stay healthy the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. That's tough. But it sounded like he thought he could make it back at some point. I mean, I know it's only so many games left, but maybe the last 2 games they probably said, nah, let's move on.
Now, he was asked about his future with the Titans, if you guys want to hear his response to that.
Oh, of course.
I'm all in on that.
I just tried to come in and do my part, day in, day out, since I got to Tennessee. And I know I can only control what I can control. Injury happen, but I know I can play in this league. I know I'm a top corner in this league, So wherever that may be, that's where it's falling. But it'll all work out for me.
You think it's here?
We'll see.
You want it to be here?
We'll see.
That was, of course, the voice of Paul Kaharski there. I'm sure that was from his Twitter feed. Christian Fulton, IR.
Well, I wish we had the quotes from him sounding surprised there, but it ended just like Vrabel thought it would on IR. See, for him to be surprised, I think they just want to be, I'm right. Yeah. And because to me, if he has any possibility of returning, I would make sure I'd kept that available. Just because you don't know what's going to happen with the guys you got. And then you can say, oh, we can just go pick somebody else up. Well, they have to learn your whole scheme and system and everything else. So let's see if he can rebound. But that's me. So I just always thought it was personal with Fulton and Vrabel for whatever reason. And he didn't stay healthy. So obviously he just said they're tired of it. That's kind of how I view what happened here. Him signing surprise. I thought he was injured the rest of the year anyway. But him saying that, like, that's odd. So to me, then you made a decision that we're moving forward, whether you're healthy or not.
Yeah, again, the quote from Terry McCormick from locker room interviews after practice. He said Christian Fulton had just found out that he was put on IR and he had been hoping to return.
Right.
So.
Him saying hoping, that means he thought that he could get healthy enough to play at some point in time before the season's up.
I agree.
Am I taking that wrong? How do y'all take it?
That's exactly how I take it. And I mean, if they make the playoffs, which is very, 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 very low chance.
No, I'm not talking about the playoffs.
But
I'm
in
talking
regular
about
season, yeah, he's. If that was his exact quote, then yeah, it sounds like he wanted to come back.
Well, and here's Sam
Or at least thought
Phelan
he could.
from the same time period. I'm getting a chance to scroll like the wind here. Christian Fulton told Titans media, again, this is Sam Phelan from A to Z Sports, told Titans media in the locker room he just found out he was on IR, came as a surprise to him. So that's Fulton literally using that, or Phelan saying Fulton used that exact phrase.
Well, this is one of those positions where the coach always wants to be right, and him putting him IR makes him sound and feel like he was right. See, that's why that happened. That's why I say it was personal. And everybody think I'm not defending Fulton by the way. I know a lot of people think that early in the season. I just say, who do you have better when you start yanking guys in and out? You don't have anybody better, so you're really doing a disservice to your team. And then to me, then it has to be personal. So, I feel no different here.
Who decides
The
if you go or
Vrabel.
not? So
Vrabel.
the head coach does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vrabel. Yeah. There's nobody else in that chain but him. Yeah. So, I'm just saying.
Well, if he could have played in that last game against the Jaguars, they'd be helpful, you know. Got the Texans the week before that. Probably get Stroud back by then. I don't know how bad his concussion protocol or how lengthy his concussion protocol visit would be, but
everybody can say, "Oh, you won without him." Guess what? You also run without Simmons. See, so let's not start this whole because you like a player, don't like a player. At the end of the day, I think Vrabel's starting to bring politics into the freaking locker room, man. This does not happen in the National Football League because you don't like a player. And then Fulton, I mean, he's never said anything derogatory. I've never heard him say anything. All positive the whole time. So, whether he stayed here for 2 off seasons, he still had hamstring issues. He went to a specialist, work out with them, it still didn't work. Hey, man, the dude has hamstring problems. That's pretty obvious. I don't even think you need to broadcast it. It's pretty clear. So when he's available, you just got to know. Guess what? If I'm the coach, I'm bringing him back. Hey, but I'm going to tell him right up front, hey, man, you may not be starting, but you'll be, we'll rotate you in there. Mm-hmm. Watch this, to preserve your health. See how that did that? Yeah, preserve your health.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, yeah.
One of those,
you can help us. I want to win more than I want to be right. Because he can help.
just on like one of those Sean Murphy button 1-year deals?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because Sean Murphy's about, 1 year, $5 million? That's what he's getting
I don't
this
know
year?
what it was. 1 year, 4.3 or something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
And by the way, he need to move to safety. I'm tired of seeing people run right by him. He got lucky in the Dolphins game. That running back ran right by him. Tua missed him. He threw it and overthrew the dude. He dove. Dude, man.
All right, we got to go.
Yeah.
Nice honor for a Titans player talking about health who seems to be finding his. We'll tell you what the honor is. Some might even call this guy honor. That's coming up. Let's talk about doing something nice for yourself for Christmas, right? Let's talk about doing a very nice thing for yourself. You're dealing with hair loss. Let's talk about buying yourself back the gift of your own hair. How about that? PAI, WeGrowHair.com. Been in Nashville for over 26 years. Been helping people get their looks back, get their hair back, get their swagger back, confidence, however you want to say it. They've been helping people do it for 2.5 decades plus now. And sometimes you see these singers and actors and stars and politicians. You think, gosh, those people don't ever look any different. You know why? Because they got a team of people. And the irony of all of it is a lot of their people, when it comes to hair, could be your same people. That's the people at PAI at WeGrowHair.com. They got the best in the business, and you can go to WeGrowHair.com. You can see real people and real results. You can see it, and you can even ask about the multi-unit hair grafting procedure. It gives you the most bang for your buck. You're in one day. You got hair on your head for the rest of your life. Doesn't that sound good? Why don't you call them today? Free consultation, 08615-376-6010 or WeGrowHair.com.
Life is busy. We could all use some extra time in our day, which is exactly why Two Rivers Ford offers mobile service. We'll bring the service to your driveway at no additional charge. Oil changes, brakes, batteries, the certified technicians at Two Rivers will perform basic maintenance on your vehicle wherever you are, so you'll have more time for moments like this. Schedule your mobile service appointment by scanning the QR code or calling Two Rivers Ford today.
Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. Woo, that's right. Titans and Texans this week. We'll keep you posted on everything that we know about that. Be interesting to see the Texans injury report when it drops. C.J. Stroud in concussion protocol. They got a linebacker, Blake Cashman, defensive back, special teams guy, Tavier Thomas, and Nico Collins, who's had a nice year as a wide receiver. All of them are buddy Aaron Wilson reporting their statuses at various stages of being out or still being determined or concussion protocol. So the Texans are a beat-up team. So it'll be interesting to see which quarterback Harold Landry tries to sack this week. May not be the super rookie C.J. Stroud. Harold Landry named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after the 3-sack performance against Miami. I watched the whole game. I didn't realize at the time all 3 of his sacks were in the fourth quarter. I watched the game and watched him do it and didn't put that together.
Yeah, first player to do that since Devin White in Week 15 of 2020.
So it's been a minute. But Harold Landry, and Blaine, it's funny, a lot of things happen, kind of manifest themselves down the road. You said, Landry's going to need some time. You don't just come back and you're your old self again. It happens over time.
Because you have to start trusting that leg that it can do the things that he used to do. And it takes reps and game reps.
Yep.
You can, create game reps at practice. So, and now, he's moving into form of, the Harold Landry we saw the year before that. So hats off to him for all the hard work that he put in to now be where he's at. So
you guys want
Titans need it.
You guys want some Harold Landry numbers from before the bye week and after the bye week?
Is this from James Foster?
It is.
On Twitter, No Flags Film? Yeah, what you got?
So before the bye week, Harold Landry had 111 pass rush snaps. He only had 4 pressures. It's 3.6% pressure rate. He had 2 sacks and a PFF pass rush grade of 51.1. Now, following the bye week, he's had 179 pass rush snaps. He's had 27 pressures, which is 15.1% pressure rate, 7 sacks, and a 72.2 PFF pass rush grade. Seems like after the bye week, he's finally come back into form and trusting that knee again and playing at a high level.
We were talking about sacks on the pregame show, the League Company Countdown to Kickoff a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about sacks and those kind of numbers, and you kind of tilted the conversation some and talked more about pressure and just how pressure affects. You don't necessarily have to sack the quarterback, but if you pressure him enough, he'll throw the ball in the dirt, or he'll just go down, or he'll throw it out of bounds, or he'll run out of bounds, or
throw a pick,
or he'll throw a pick. And they were able to harass Tua the other night. Even the times they didn't sack him, he was rumbling and bumbling and fumbling and stumbling and all kinds of stuff. He literally fumbled at one point. They were able to make him uncomfortable, And the week before against Indy, they were able to make Minshew uncomfortable sometimes. Unfortunately, they were undone by special teams. But they do seem to have ratcheted up their pressure some over the last couple of weeks.
Arden Key. What did he say? Just remember what he said. I don't remember what week it was. What did he say? And ever since then.
This goes back about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He said, boy, I was standing there too, Blaine. I was right there when he answered the question post-game after they won at home. He said, yeah, man, remember all that stuff we was doing in the preseason, the real simple stuff? We just did that. And then he goes, I don't mean to give away any kind of game plan or anything, but we're just keeping it simple. So there may be something to that, to what Mr. Key said. Even for himself, he has played better as of late.
Because he kind of disappeared.
For like Casper the Friendly Ghost, he disappeared. But he's reappeared.
Yeah, last 3 weeks. All of them. So maybe there was something to that. I have no idea if that's true or not, but so they got after the quarterback. I think it went hand in hand in the Dolphins game with the coverage and the confusion, him holding on to the ball. You saw him wanting to let it go early, and he couldn't. He pumping, and he didn't know where to go with his number 2 read. I just felt like and then he didn't want to get his guy blasted again in the ribs early in the game. And Waddle, oh my. So I think they got in his head, and then they eventually got sacks with him holding on to the ball. So I thought the scheme that the Titans brass, Vrabel leading the front on the defensive side, and Bowen and and them getting after the quarterback really worked really well together. So that's how it works. And then typically you get pick opportunities when that happens. Unfortunately, it didn't. I know Hooker, who has great hands, missed one right through his hands there, but would have been a great play. But we've seen him make those plays, so I thought he played really good. But yeah, man, that was really exciting to see that the Titans brought their A game and they made the Dolphins really, regardless of who was out there or not, had a C game. So yeah, they got after him.
I'm about to have some numbers for you here that I'm getting on the fly. But since that game against the Panthers, which is when Arden Key goes, yeah, remember all that simple stuff we were doing?
So Panthers, Colts, Dolphins. You about to get some numbers on their sack numbers?
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
In the last 3 weeks, Blaine, Key has 2.5 sacks. Autry has 3 sacks. Landry has 3.5 sacks. Since Arden Key stood and said to the 4 of us that were talking to him, who waited him out at the end of the game, like, yeah, man, remember all that stuff from training camp? We just doing that again. The simple stuff.
How they started the season off.
Yep.
What did I say? About, players have no say-so over that until somebody speaks out like that.
Hey,
in a nice way. He didn't try to throw anybody in the bus. We just kept it simple.
That's 9 sacks from your big 3 in 3 games. Since you said, okay.
Let's keep it simple.
Hit the simple button.
Mm-hmm.
Beep.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah. Sometimes you know what we're doing, but guess what? You still got to stop it. You still got to stop it. About execution. That's who that's what they were comfortable with. So, yeah, sometimes, at some point you may want to change it up a little bit, but, hey, man, they're getting the results. You keep going till you don't.
And when those 3 are getting success, it opens up lanes for some of the other guys, like Jaleel Johnson, who had a sack against Miami, for the young guy, T.Clay McClendon Jr., who got in the game a couple times versus Miami, for Petco, who is unfortunately on IR now, but was still a factor. Taylor Tart, it opens up lanes for them and see what team success does.
Yep. That's what a team is right there.
And when the big 3 start to get the extra attention, it does what Banana said. Okay, then the guy with less attention who only has to beat one guy goes and beats his one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Mike Vrabel say some things about winning one-on-one matchups earlier this season?
Well, I'm sure he did at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a week where he was heavy on that.
Yeah, because they probably didn't have a good day winning the one-on-one. Like, they didn't win none of them.
Yeah. And his thing was, hey, man, at some point it just comes down to one guy has to beat the guy across from him.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Yeah. We're going to try to beat some headlines out of Jordan Dajani. We will do that next. Jordan Dajani, CBS Sports, NFL.com writer. Hey, man, there's a lot to get to. Big Titans win. We can talk about that.
Ding dong. We moved ding dong to the day.
Ding dong is at 2:45, so you can drop a ding dong in the F&M Bank chat or just get your ding dong ready, and you can call us about it 615-737-1045. That will get you on the list right there. Also, remember, you want to get on our list every day. Listen to Blaine and Mckee wherever you go, anytime. Just subscribe to the Blaine and Mckee Show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all podcasting platforms. Take us wherever you go this holiday season and all the time. Jordan Dajani next.
Ding dong, green. There are a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for everything. But not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop. And when you get a diagnosis for your European auto repair, get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. And before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It could not only save your vehicle's life, but could actually save you from a lot of stress that ruins your weekend. And life's too short to get stressed out and angry. So be happy and go to Eurofix. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit and not high-pressure sales tactics. And at Eurofix, you also get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices either. All located in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844 Eurofix, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said you.
Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. One of the Whataburger Christmas elves have entered the studio here with Whataburger gifts. So we'll have to evaluate these coming up after we talk to our friend Jordan Dajani. His visit is always a gift each and every week as he joins us from CBS Sports. JD, you ever hit up any of these local Whataburgers, man? Because like I said, they just hit the studio here with a whole bunch of swag. Next time you see Blaine and me, we'll be looking good in our Whataburger stuff.
Yeah.
What's going on, friends? Thanks for having me on the show. Yes, I did have my first Whataburger experience a couple months ago. Got in touch with some of that spicy ketchup. So I was a big fan of it. And I know you, Mckee, are a big fan of Whataburger as well. So appreciate you for turning me on to that.
Well, turn a lot of people on to Whataburger. That's my crew.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty soon we'll see, Mckee with the whole full outfit on, and he will be part of the Whataburger advertisement.
He's the official mascot.
There. That's his outfit right there.
Oh, I gotta.
We gotta show
They're
everybody
quote unquote
on the street
ugly
right
Christmas sweaters, but they're not ugly. They're beautiful to me.
Becky's in here, JD. So we,
Man, that is nice.
Yeah,
when my mom sees me in that for
Mckee
Christmas
got
dinner,
his pajamas right here.
I just want some pajamas with feet from Whataburger.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the good old
I
days.
want to see you in a commercial with that on too.
Well, I do it. You know that I would. I'm a believer in the product. Hey, JD, were you a believer in the Titans product? Okay. Halftime, it's 10-7 Titans. They go for it, try to score points. They kick the field goal. 28 seconds left. They run down there and score. Did you think these dudes are actually going to hang on and win this game? Or were you like some others maybe when, they had the 2 back-to-back turnovers that led to the touchdowns? Maybe you just went ahead and shut it down and went to bed early.
Uh-huh.
Man, I got to tell you, I went through I went through the entire range of emotions, right? I mean, up 10-7 at halftime, I'm thinking, okay, Tennessee's going to cover the spread. They're going to keep it close. Still don't have faith in them to exactly pull out the win straight up. And then comes that disastrous start to the fourth quarter where they turn the ball over twice. All of a sudden, Miami's up 14 points. It's not looking good. And then the Titans, the miracle in Miami, I think Mike Keith put it, came to fruition. Absolutely incredible. I mean, this is just the 4th time in the last 2,078 instances a team came back from down 14 inside the final 5 minutes to win, and they didn't even need overtime to do so. And I think there's so many headlines that came out of this game, right? I mean, how about the poise of prospective franchise quarterback Will Levis going 10 of 13 with a touchdown in the fourth quarter? How about DeAndre Hopkins owning Xavier Howard? How about Harold Landry going off for 3 sacks? Austin Jackson, the right tackle, he just got paid last week, but he's missing some dollars after Landry took his lunch money. How about this defense shutting down the best offense in the league, right? The longest touchdown drive the Dolphins put together was 12 yards. Miami went 2 of 5 in the red zone. And finally, I think my last takeaway is, how about Mike Vrabel? People thought he was burning on the hot seat, but then comes probably the most Mike Vrabel win of all time, the largest upset of the NFL season. Last week, you guys asked me what I was looking for from the Titans for the rest of the season. And one thing I said was, I want to see the locker room fighting for their coach, their brothers, their teammates, and each other. We certainly saw that on Monday night.
Yeah, you mentioned Will Levis. He certainly appears to be putting his best foot forward to show that he is the quarterback of the future for this organization.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think Will Levis had been pretty solid right before Monday night. The arm talent was certainly one of the aspects of what he brings to the table that really stood out, and his willingness to throw into tight windows. Maybe that comes with some bad decisions with the football, but at least he has that willingness, and he clearly has the arm talent to fire in those shots. That's what really stood out about Will Levis. But what the main takeaway with this rookie quarterback on Monday night was the kind of poise that he showed in the fourth quarter, right? Taking the field with his brothers, orchestrating touchdown drives in crunch time. He had no fear going down the field, trying to hook up with DeAndre Hopkins. Will Levis is someone who has been known for his competitive spirit. That's something that stood out during his time at Kentucky. And that was certainly on full display against Miami as well. I'm sure you guys saw those great shots of him running on the sideline, running up to players and coaches, Tim Kelly. That dude plays the game of football to win. And that's something that stood out on Monday night.
Our man Jordan Dajani here with us. You can follow him on Twitter at Jordan Dajani, and you can read all of his stuff at cbssports.com.
Hey, Jordan, I one more question on the Dolphins-Titans game, and that is, did the Titans give the recipe to the rest of the league on how to defend the Dolphins?
Ruh-roh.
I think they did in some ways. And it reminded me a little bit of what the Kansas City Chiefs did against the Dolphins earlier this year when they played in, what was it, Germany.
Oh.
When we talked last week, I told you guys the way that I'm going to defend Miami, and it's not a key to victory per se, it's something that just helps. But you got to take away the home run ball, right? You got to put a dome over the defense and make sure that Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, those guys aren't beating you deep. You give them the outside ball. You're going to take away the inside because those are the two most important things that I think the Dolphins do when it comes to staples of their offense, if you will, is they take advantage of the middle of the field, right? You can hit Tyreek Hill on a slant. He can take it 80 yards to the house. If you take away that middle of the field, take away the deep shot as well along the sideline, you're going to give yourself a chance. So give the Dolphins what they want underneath. Try to make your stands on third down. Try to make your stands in the red zone, which is exactly what the Tennessee Titans did. So, maybe it's simple, maybe it's not, but I just really think taking away the home run ball and giving Miami whatever they want underneath it is certainly a key to at least keeping games with them competitive.
Have to ask you one with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports, and that is 54 different quarterbacks, not even counting this weekend coming up, that have played in the National Football League. Is this a trend now with the way all the passing that's going on in the league? Or I don't know what the reason is. Maybe you tell me of why we're seeing so many different quarterbacks.
Yeah, so Easton Stick and Nick Mullins will be the 55th and 56th different starting quarterbacks this season. The NFL record is 68, which was apparently set last year, excluding the strike seasons. That's a number that I was not even aware of, to be honest with you. I hope it's not a trend. A lot of these changes have come, of course, due to injury, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whether it's Justin Herbert this past week. You never like seeing quarterback injuries because odds are if you're playing with your backup quarterback, your offense is not going to be as formidable as it is with your starter. So I hope it's not a trend. But the other thing is that there's been plenty of quarterback changes, right? Whether it's players getting benched, quarterbacks getting traded, whatever it may be, such as we saw with Joshua Dobbs. There's just been a lot of changes under center. And I hope it's not a trend because I feel like the NFL is its best product when you have consistency at the most important position. That's something that I think would bring success. But it also opens yourself up to some intriguing storylines, right? Such as Joshua Dobbs, such as Tommy DeVito with the New York Giants, which has been a major headline over the past couple of weeks. So, yeah, we're seeing a ton of change with quarterbacks, but I really do hope it's not a trend in the NFL.
What a story with DeVito. They win 3 straight in a row with the Giants, and he's still living at home, man. Right? He's getting all kind of puff for his agent and everything, man. I think this is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's the key to success. Stay with your parents as long as you can. Then you can start your career for yourself and see what happens.
Yeah, there you have it. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
JD, I know you're a Vegas guy. You like to bet things and watch the odds. You got to set some odds for where Bill Belichick is next year. Where are you going to line that up?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we've talked about this storyline all year, and we've seen numerous reports come out saying Bill Belichick is probably going to get fired midseason. Bill Belichick's not going to get fired midseason. Bill Belichick will have another chance in 2024. He's not going to retire. He might be traded, whatever it may be. There's been reports everywhere, but there is one report that I've given a lot of credence to, and that came from NFL media, Ian Rappaport, just about a month ago, saying that the Patriots are leaning towards parting ways with Bill Belichick. And that's something that was reported, yesterday? I forget by the outlet, but reported that Bill Belichick was not going to be with the Patriots moving forward. But I don't believe that he's going to be fired. The report that NFL media gave out a month ago says that Robert Kraft wants something in return for arguably the greatest head coach of all time. So I think that Bill Belichick is going to be traded to another team. And in terms of potential landing spots, I'll give you 2 right off the top. I think that the Washington Commanders are going to have a head coach opening this offseason. I'm imagining that Josh Harris is going to part ways with Ron Rivera. And this is a new owner in the NFL. Maybe he wants to make a splash move by acquiring Bill Belichick. As for if that would be a good move for his team, I'm not 100% sure just yet. But another team to keep an eye on might be the Los Angeles Chargers, right? It seems like Brandon Staley is going to be out the door. I think that maybe bringing Belichick to LA would certainly be a splashy move for that franchise. But I really do think that it's if you were to ask me the interest level of Bill Belichick if he were to be a free agent, I don't know how to answer that question, but I really do believe that there'll be a couple teams out there interested in bringing him aboard to be their lead man.
Should Patrick Mahomes have been so mad about an offsides call where a guy was actually offsides?
Yeah, it definitely shows his competitive spirit. There's no doubt about that. Anytime you got to be held back by your entire team for not attack or in case you attack a ref, it certainly says something about you as a competitor. But no, I mean, that was my first reaction too. I was confused why he was frothing at the mouth. He was so upset. And he came back and did apologize for his reaction. I mean, the bottom line is that Kadarius Toney was offsides, and that flag was thrown immediately, right? I think that Patrick Mahomes would have had a case to be so upset if that flag was thrown during the lateral or just late in general. But the flag was thrown when the ball was snapped, which is what is supposed to happen for an offensive offsides penalty. I'll take you guys back to last year. Remember, there was a very controversial call with the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants, almost a year to the day back in 2022 in late December, where Terry McLaurin was called for offensive offsides, but he absolutely checked with the line judge. And there was a big controversy with, well, do the officials have to tell the player where exactly to line up if they check with them? It was an entirely different thing. That was very controversial in my opinion. But no, to answer your question, I don't think Patrick Mahomes should have been as upset as he was. That's on your wide receiver to know where to line up because it was very clear from the camera angles that Kadarius was above the ball.
Jordan Dajani always knows where to line up. CBS Sports, that's where he does his writing.
Well, what did you think of that beat down Dallas gave Philly? I mean, are they the king of the hill, the NFC East and the favorite or top NFC team with the 49ers?
They certainly look like it, man. The Cowboys became the first team in NFL history to score 30 or more points in each of their first 7 home games of a season, while the Eagles became the first team since 1983 to enter 8 games above 500 and lose by 20-plus points in back-to-back games. The Eagles are certainly flailing right now. And, going back to that game, I think the Cowboys dominated in all 3 phases, right? I mean, they punted just once. They scored on all 4 of their first half possessions to go up 24-6. Brandon Aubrey, a kicker Mckee and I were watching with the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL.
Yes, sir.
Became the first player in NFL history with 2 or more field goals of 59 yards in a single game. He had 15 total points. That was certainly a headline. I think the Cowboys, as I've said, I mean, they are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they are certainly playing better football than the Eagles right now. But we've been talking about it all season, man. I really do not know if the Cowboys are still legitimate contenders. Once again, they're set up for a great opportunity to make a run in the postseason, but it remains to be seen if they do. Now, as far as the Eagles go, I think it's worth mentioning that they arguably have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. They play the Giants twice, the Cardinals, and then the Seattle Seahawks. So it's very possible the Eagles rebound and they play some of their best ball to end out the season. If we're talking about teams power ranking them in terms of Super Bowl contenders, it'll be interesting to revisit this conversation in a couple weeks. I'm interested to see how the Cowboys and Eagles finish out the regular season.
Well, I know you did a big-time article on Gronk at the Army-Navy game. I guess give us a little hint so people can go that you guys talked about that'll be interesting so everybody go check it out on your X or Twitter. All of that.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with NFL legend Rob Gronkowski. Of course, I had to ask him if Bill Belichick is not here in New England, if he asked for his release or he's traded or whatever, who would be your replacement? And his answer rhymes with bike cable. So obviously that was an answer that definitely stood out to me. I'm obviously a really good journalist, so I hit the hardcore topics. I asked Gronk who his Taylor Swift was, who was his celebrity crush when he was tearing up the NFL during his days with the New England Patriots. He says he wishes he had Pamela Anderson as his superstar girlfriend. So either way, it was a very fun interview with Rob Gronkowski. He's always a fun interview subject. So as you mentioned, appreciate the plug. Definitely go check that out over at cbssports.com.
Pamela Anderson. That was a surprise. There you have it. Dajani, CBS Sports. Or there you have it for Gronk.
There you go. Well, maybe you'll have it for Gronk. Maybe she'll see that interview. Have we seen the last of Al Michaels in an NFL booth?
Oh.
Yeah, that was surprising to see that he's not going to be given one of the playoff games that NBC has. And I don't know what exactly goes into that decision, but the one thing I do know is that he's kind of struggled a little bit in the booth, right? He on certain plays he's lost where the line of scrimmage is. He's called players the wrong names. I would never accuse a broadcaster of being quote unquote disinterested, and I'm sure that Al Michaels was not disinterested by the games he was calling, but he hasn't had a Pro Bowl kind of year in the booth. So I'm interested to see what the future holds for him. But regardless, he has been the voice of the NFL, really, to me, when I was a kid. Him and John Madden had a great run. He was somebody whose voice, whenever I hear it, is synonymous with primetime football games. So definitely interested to see what the future holds for him.
JD, fantastic stuff, man. Always great catching up with you. Again, Blaine mentioned that article. You got several good ones up, as always, at cbssports.com. Anything in the works now that people need to know about on the way out?
Nothing too special right now.
Okay.
I'm not going to be interviewing any star tight ends this week. But as I mentioned, there's always good content over at cbssports.com. And I always appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Yes, sir. We do, too. Look forward to it.
Yeah, one more thing before we let you go. That is, in the NFL, who had the ding-dongest play you can recall from this past weekend?
Well, I think we talked about it. If there's one
Mahomes.
ding-dong position group in the NFL this season, it might be the wide receiving core of the Kansas City Chiefs. Lining up on what ended up being the game-winning play, especially when you were the player who caught that incredible off-the-top lateral to score the game-winning touchdown. My goodness, of course it happened to the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiving core. They're dropping game-winning touchdowns. They're not producing in the receiving game. They're a huge question mark for Andy Reid's team moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see what the Chiefs are capable of if they don't get a home spot in the playoffs and they have to go on the road in the postseason. So that was definitely the ding-dong play of Week 14, in my opinion, Mr. Kadarius Toney.
Great stuff as always, buddy. Looking forward to talking to you next week.
Can't wait, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Our man Jordan Dajani, same time every week. You can always catch him here. And, of course, anytime at cbssports.com. We will come back with Ding Dong of the Week next. You got a Ding Dong you want to share with us, 615-737-1045. Or, like I said earlier, drop a Ding Dong in the F&M Bank Chat or tweet us one at Blaine and Mckee. By the way, you can follow us there or on Instagram. Same handle. We're back to wrap it up next. Yeah. We're about to unwrap our gifts from Courtney Claus and Whataburger.
Yeah, Mckee said he has a long Ding Dong list.
Yeah, Blaine and Mickey.
Yeah,
We're wearing our swag here.
Yeah, we're wearing our swag because we ding dong.
Checking us out on Zone TV. You can see how good we look. I'm going to
Where's my picture?
have some spicy ketchup shots when we finish up this segment. Get my constitutionized right.
Oh, man. You living the dream right now.
I look
Mickey.
good. I'm
I'm
jealous.
Christmas party ready. I would roll up into
jealous
anybody's
of the
house
sweaters,
in this.
man. The
Feliz
sweaters look
Navidad,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, the Titans already had their birthday party. We didn't get invited.
Their birthday party.
I mean, I'm sorry.
well,
birthday.
they did turn 25 this year.
Yeah, well, that too, but did the
Yeah.
Christmas party.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get the invite. I
We're
saw
having
people
our
were
own
there.
Christmas party in
I was
here.
like, huh? I must have missed that email.
Well,
But
if
guess
people-
who didn't miss us? Whataburger, baby! What's up? Yeah, oh, Mickey is on the high of Whataburger right now.
man.
Man, come on, tell us all the swag you got.
Well, I'm rock. We always tell people you can watch us on Zone TV, which, by the way, watch us on Zone
Yeah,
TV.
man, you see my swag?
We got Christmas sweaters, which the whole term for these ugly Christmas sweaters, this is, man, hang this thing in the Louvre. This thing is beautiful. It's got chicken sandwiches and Whataburgers and French fries on it.
Oh,
Got the logo. I got a camo hat.
Watch out now. The wife may be trying to eat your your sweater.
No, man. Ain't nobody going to touch this thing but me. And then I don't know if it's because I'm from Arkansas, but Courtney was like, I don't know why, but I felt camo would be a good color for you.
She pegged you.
100%. Yeah. And I'm like, you understand, right? Like my high school's third jersey was camo. So yeah, I think you nailed it on the camo hat.
Oh,
So
man.
anti-ding dong to the Whataburger crew, but time to award our Ding Dong of the Week awards, courtesy of our friends at Mark Spain. You go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing, or as we like to say, don't be a ding dong. Use Mark Spain. Bananas, you typically lead us off here with the ding dongery. So what do you got for us this week, Monfrere?
So mine came last night, and Draymond Green of the Warriors.
Yes.
We might as well name the award after him.
You got to. I mean, he says he's trying to draw a foul, but dude, you literally turn around and punched a dude right in the face.
Yeah.
You can't do that on a basketball court. And listen, this is not like it's the first time he's ever done this. This is like constant, week in, week out, stupid stuff he's doing, and it's hurting people. Like, people are getting hurt because of him.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna suspend. I'm not saying that they're comparable, but if you're going to suspend Ja Morant for what he did off the court 25 games, this guy's hurting people on the court. You gotta think that there's a big suspension coming for him, and a necessary one at that.
Dang, that's a good one there. Bananas. It's hard to follow that one up, but I'm going to go with Vrabel needed to have a sit down and tell Mr. Fulton that you going on IR. You don't want to hear the Twitter or the media ask you questions. Did you know you was on IR? Well, they didn't say, did you know you're IR? Because they assumed that he knew. So, hey, let's do a little better job of communicating. I know it's a short week and all, but you got 5 minutes of your time. You got to have, that's called leadership. Sometimes you got to have those uncomfortable conversations and sit down and say, hey, man, this is what we decided to do. You've kind of had a history of hammies, and at this point in time, we need to move forward. And he'd be like, all right, cool. That's all it needed. That's it. Not that hard. It's called leadership, Rapes.
Y'all ready?
Treat those as you want to be treated.
Do unto others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, they do unto you.
Y'all ready for my ding dong?
Yeah, I'm ready, because you said you got a long one.
Well,
This was a short one?
no, it's a big one.
Oh, okay.
It involved a defensive lineman.
It's always a big one.
Well, I mean, this is Bradley Chubb. What we're talking about, ding dongs here. Every point mattered in that Titans-Dolphins game.
I know exactly.
They are off the field on third down, and my man is mad that he missed getting a sack on our man, Will
He
Levis.
get off the field, though.
And he just throws his helmet down, which, by the way, this has happened in multiple games against the Titans last year. Everybody was taking their helmet off
And then we
against
got a
them.
penalty,
And they
did
never
not.
called penalties on anybody. But your man Chubb got caught and busted. Titans go on and score to tie the game at 7-7 in a game where literally every last point mattered in the game.
Yeah.
Come on, Chubb. You can't be spiking your helmet.
You know what
'cause you're
that
mad.
is? Selfish. That's selfish.
That
Yeah,
is selfish.
yeah.
Because they
That was
stopped
very
him.
selfish.
They stopped him, and just because he didn't get to record the stats, he didn't get to record the sack on his stat sheet.
Watch this. I'm about to get you. You know why he was really so mad and irate? That was $1 million signing bonus. Incentive clause in his contract. I'm just making this up, but that could have been. That's why he was so mad. I just lost $1 million.
I mean, he's got 4 more games.
It might have been a time frame on it.
Oh,
after 13 weeks, if you get this, we are good to go. And he's like, I blew it.
Captain Trips in the F&M Bank chat said Chubb did ding-dong it up.
He was irate, man. It was actually hilarious. Like, dang, was that serious?
Tyler has given us several ding-dongs here. He has a long list of ding-dongs. But a ding-dong to the Dodgers for their insane contract deferrals.
Oh, my God.
And Major League Baseball for allowing it. The Dodgers will pay Mckee and Ohtani a combined $79 million in 2043. You'll be my age that year, Bananas.
Yeah, they deferred his the first 2 years, he only makes $2 million.
So so it's until 2034. The next 10 years, he's making $2 million a year, and then from 2034 to I think it's another 10 years, he's making $68 million a year to do nothing. To do nothing.
Oh, I love what that is. What is that in a day? 365.
Come on, man. We're not mathing live here. That's just going to turn out poorly.
Absolutely
$70 million a year.
insane. And right now, I've seen, it's not reported, but they're going after Tyler Glasnow. They're trying to get a trade with him, which is a really good pitcher, and to go ahead and bolster that already star-studded lineup, both on the pitching staff and the batting order. It's ridiculous. It's okay. They're still going to lose in the division series.
Wow, it's a bold proclamation, he said. Braves fan.
They've paid all this money and won 1 World Series since 1988.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's time to pack up this ding-dongery. Make room for 3HL. Go through the rest of our presents.
Make room for this Whataburger.
100% we do. 3HL coming up next. We got gifts to open, y'all. More to come from Whataburger, too. I apparently hear around these parts. People need to stay tuned.
But in the meantime.
In between time,
Peace.